so that's kind of the reason, honestly, that we started this program the way we started it, which was let's go back to the like raw basics.
Right.
Let's try to figure out why we chose this opportunity, right? Why do we choose the real estate as the vehicle? Why do we choose sales as the vehicle? And what are we hoping to accomplish? Like, what do we want our life to look like from a financial standpoint, from a time standpoint, from a who do we associate with, right? What type of person do we want to help? Where do we want to contribute? Like, we have all of that flexibility right now. And I've said it many times that this business is challenging. And I'm not telling you that to talk you out of it. I'm telling you that to prepare your mind for the stress and the uncertainty and the confusion that you're going to experience on your way to the top.
Right.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
And when you get, the more and more clear you get on why you want what you're telling me you want, and what you're telling yourself and your family what you want, the better it's going to be, because then you'll put up with what you have to put up with to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty much everybody that's ever, made a substantial amount of money has put in, early mornings and late nights, and, worked when they didn't, quote, feel like it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What I have, this line on my 411, it says, only the disciplined ones in life are free. Otherwise you are a slave to your moods and passions. Right. So when you do what you want every day, then you have a life of mediocrity. Right. When you do things that you know are going to take you to your goal, that's when everything really starts to click. Got it?
Yes.
All right. I'll start off with the good news today. Y'all want to hear some good news?
Yes.
I'm under contract.
Woohoo!
Yay!
In your townhouse?
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
I'm waiting on final signatures, but we've worked out a deal.
Did you get full asking?
No.
You had said it was low.
What?
You had said you got a low offer so you were able to get him up to a comfortable place for you.
Yeah, they were goofing around, I think. So they ultimately came up, what would that be? $1,000.
1,000?
What?
How much?
18.
Oh, wow. Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's, not exactly what I want, but it's time to sell, Yeah, it's not, as we've kind of alluded to many times, the value of your home is exactly what a buyer is willing to pay for it.
Yes.
And right now, I'm assuming that every buyer that is remotely interested in a townhome near Sandy Springs, or in Sandy Springs that is near Chastain Park, is aware of my property. So out of the 8 billion people in the world, there's only one person that wants to buy this place. Right?
Let it go when you let it go.
And it's time. Right? And I know I saw you laugh, Stephanie. I mean, that's the reality. Right? So when you have it, let's say you have a listing, and the listing, once we list the home, it's on hundreds and thousands of websites. Like, you don't need to like buy a paper ad in like the real estate book anymore, right? It's like, once it's live, it's everywhere. And all these buyers and their agents are on these instant buyer notification systems. They've got all the things set up on Redfin and Zillow and their agent apps and all this stuff. Like, everyone knows the home is available. There's no secrets anymore, right? So if the world is not reacting to it, you have to fix it, right? And you're generally going to fix it with one of two things: either make it prettier or make it less expensive.
And you did both.
And I did both, right? And ultimately, it goes back to what I was saying before. When I relisted the home after painting it, hang on one second. When I relisted the home after painting it, basically I I had it on the market, and a month went by. So what does that tell me? Again, we have 8 billion people in the world, and no one wanted it. Not a single person was interested until this person showed up and said, I'm kind of interested. We work out a deal, right? So when you're dealing with your sellers, like sometimes you have to, I think all the time, if you're dealing with a seller, you have to make them start thinking like a buyer. If you're dealing with a buyer, you have to start making them think like a seller, right? Because that seller, me, needed to be reminded that you have a home that has sat on the market for a month, which is above normal, right? And you have a decent amount of competition. There's one unit in particular that's like a quarter of a mile away, which is debatably more impressive, right? At least by price. And this guy presumably knows about that home and wants mine. I got to figure out a way to make this work, especially because we got, you know, COVID-19 and all this craziness going on, right? So I guess at the end of the day, you have to make you have to remind the seller that the home is available for everyone, and no one wants it right now, right? And on a buyer side, you know, let's say I was so my first offer was $25,000 below asking price, and they wanted 10 grand in closing. And I called the agent and I said, let me ask you a question. What's more important, the price or the closing cost? And she said, the closing cost. And I said, can I be honest with you for a second? And she said, yeah. And I said, it's too low. Like there's no evidence at all to support this offer. All the comps are much closer to where I am. In fact, I'm even better than the comps, right? I said, can you help me understand where he's coming from? And then I shut my mouth. And I want to hear what the woman had to say, right? And she says, it wasn't my suggestion. I told him that wasn't going to work. He just wanted to start low, right? I said, okay, great. She said, just counter. I think we're close, right? Had I just not called her or sent her a text or sent her an email or just flat out responded or not responded, I wouldn't have got any of that information, right? And I'm not saying I made some genius negotiation move. I just sold the home I'm trying to sell, right? But had I been that buyer's agent, I would have had that conversation with them to say, look, put yourself in the seller's shoes. Why would a seller choose to sell their home with these terms? There's no data to support it, right? And the buyer presumably said to their buyer's agent, hey, well, the home's been on the market a while. It's the middle of this coronavirus thing, right? The house is empty. He already owns another house because we've done the research, right? We just see if he's desperate, right? And I probably would have done something similar to what the buyer's agent did, which was, you know, say, all right, let's see what happens, but I need you to understand that's not reasonable, right? And so I gave a response that indicated that that I wanted to sell the home, but I wasn't going to sell it for an unreasonable price. And I did have some coaching from Pam as well. I said, can you just make sure I'm not crazy here, right? And we looked at the comps, and I looked at the comps with my wife, and like we did the whole deal. So does that kind of analysis help anybody? I can't stress to you enough how much putting the buyer in the seller's shoes, right, and putting the seller in the buyer's shoes helps, right? Because if you can't get 100%, more than likely, you can't get 100% of what you want. There is an exchange. There's the seller is going to have something that's beneficial to them to get them to sign the paperwork, and vice versa. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any thoughts or questions on that? Pam, I muted you in case you want to talk. Okay. Okay. Tell me some more good news. Anyone have any struggles that we talk about? Everyone's on mute. Just remember, and I can see, I wish I could say I see your mouse moving, but I don't see your mouse moving.
Nope.
So Kathy got somebody that just joined our office, named Kathy as a sponsor. So congratulations.
Yeah. So she was finally able to complete her paperwork yesterday. She committed last week.
Yeah.
But she was able to sign her paperwork yesterday because she didn't have her real estate license number, and there was an issue with the GRET website. So it finally was able to get that number yesterday. So I hope that she's going to start joining us, that she's going to join PC.
Nice.
Beautiful. All right, we'll put in a good put in a good word for us. All right, let me remind you about a couple of things. Today at 11 o'clock.
One thing I wanted to say, I'm in the grocery store.
Yeah, go ahead, Pam.
One thing I wanted to say is that, you know, as far
Hang on, let me unmute you because
I unmuted me. Do you hear me?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, now we do. Now we don't.
Now I don't.
We don't hear you.
Pam, hold your foot up over your head.
Oh, I think I just unmuted me. Is that right?
Yep.
There.
Good.
Okay, what I was going to say is back with when Bill was talking about his house. One advantage to him, you know, speaking to somebody who is outside the transaction and not emotionally involved is, you know,
You're breaking up a little bit.
different. You get
Pam, go to the front of the store.
you as the exit. I'll message it.
All right, we'll read Pam's message once she gets done typing it. Okay, so today at 11, Robert Doyle, the Director of Career Development for Georgia Legacy Group, is going to be on the call at 11. And then this week, that's going to be on the Zoom every day at 11, just to remind you. And then Andy is going to be doing a Facebook Live at 2 p.m. today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So we've got a all-star lineup. Today is going to be a woman named Robin Matthews. She was a launching team leader in an office in Chattanooga, who then moved down to PC Road and was behind their pretty much big-time growth. At the time, she was also the team leader for Andy and Leslie when they were building their business, and became the first MREA team in the Southeast region. And she just recently retired. I think she lives up in Maine now. She's going to be on the call today. And then Dick Dillingham, who is probably the most sought after coach or trainer in KW, is going to be on the call on Wednesday. He is a regional owner in Northern California and Hawaii. And then David Osborne is going to be on the call on Thursday. So I cannot tell you, these are three powerhouses. So please, if you can't be on the call, the 2 o'clock calls are Facebook Lives. So you just need to be a member of the Georgia Legacy Group on Facebook. Do you have that? If you send me a friend request, I will invite you to it. And I think I have admin access and I'll approve you. Okay. So the 2 o'clock calls are Facebook Lives and the 11 o'clock calls are Zoom. Okay. All right. Let's take a couple minutes and talk about shift. Tactic 4. What stood out to you guys? Find the motivated. Remember, I believe it was Gene a couple days ago said, you got to figure out who in your database is willing or able to transact business or needs to transact business now, right? Finding the motivated. All right, give me some thoughts.
You got to work harder.
Yeah, since you can't actually motivate people, you've got to find more people who are motivated to buy or sell a home.
I like the way you said that. Good job. And most likely that means a little bit more time lead generating,
Right.
right? More than likely a little bit more time following up with the leads, right? Okay.
Yeah.
To get the same results, by the way. So if you actually
Right.
want to increase your business, you're going to have to double down even more. What else? Heather, just so you know, I sent a message out, I believe it was Sunday afternoon, that had a PDF of Shift. So if you don't have the book, you have a PDF of it so you can catch up reading. And I also sent out an audiobook so you can listen to it too if that's easier for you.
Okay.
So we were reading Tactic 4 for today. One thing, who wants to talk to me about the difference between prospecting and marketing?
Well, prospecting is actively looking for people, buyers and sellers. Marketing is just like advertising yourself to them online or snail mail, but active prospecting is where you're going to make your money.
Short term.
Short term, yes.
Which one's more expensive?
Marketing.
And which one do you have more control over?
Prospecting.
Good. So on page 63, they sum it up pretty good. Prospecting is where you get the leads. Oh, I'm sorry. Prospecting is where you go get the leads, and marketing is where you do things to cause the leads to come to you.
Mhm.
Right. So Kathy said an example of marketing obviously would be, billboards or mailers or, promotional products, these kind of things. You can generally cast a wider net faster, but it's more expensive. You have less control, and it's more of a passive experience, right? What they suggested back when MREA was written was to have a marketing-based and prospecting enhanced business. Now they suggest the other way, right? So marketing generally, or let me say it the other way. Prospecting creates immediate, or you're generally going to speak to people that have immediate needs, so short-term results. Marketing, you're generally going to find people that have more longer-term needs, right? So you're probably going to end up building the relationship a bit more before you get a chance to transact with them. What else do we learn? Alexa, cancel. What else did we learn?
For me, there was 2 questions that I need to be able to answer. And the first one is, why would they contact me?
Mm-hmm.
And what are they going to get from me when they do?
I love that. I highlighted that as well. What does that mean to you?
So it means, like, if I am reaching out to these people, there has to be a nugget or something something they want, why they're going to reach back out to me. And then once they do, I better have some information for them that they want.
What would be an example of something that they would want that you could provide?
Maybe information on interest rates, like why is this a good time to buy a home right now?
Mm-hmm. What else?
How's the
Also
market
those,
doing?
right, those FMLS stats that you give every day
Yep.
about how many houses went on the market.
Right. The app would be another good example.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Remember, your offering is going to have to get more and more unique, because there is kind of an allusion to this in here that basically like talked about that, like a custom CMA used to be a lot more valuable than it is today.
Right.
Like they can get their version of a custom CMA by logging into 3 or 4 websites that give these automated values, and even if they're off, it's close enough. If I go on 4 different sites and one says 450, 455, 440, 460, I know it's around 450, close enough, let's move on, right? So why would they come to you, right? So you might need to, I don't think I've actually ever gotten that question. Like, Bill, I got 50 other realtors I could work with. What's special about you? You can either, you either going to communicate that because you're asked to, or you're going to communicate. You're either going to communicate because you're bluntly asked, or you're going to communicate it in just the way you present yourself anyway. And it's different and unique, and they enjoy kind of the energy of working with you, if you will. Does that make sense? So something like, you know, and sometimes even though there's like this kind of baseline expectation of all agents, you know, things like I will return phone calls, and I will watch all the deadlines, and I will, you know, update you on communication. We all know that there's agents that let that stuff slide. And the average real estate agent doesn't have the best reputation. So even if you were to say, hey, the standard for my business is that I return phone calls within X number of hours, or my standard for my business is that I update you on all showings on Monday and Friday, or the standard for my business is that, you know, I respond to text within an hour or something like that. If you can use those kind of professional phrases, that separates you from your competition, right? Even if like that's commonplace, if you refer to it as like, I have an organization that I'm proud of, and let me help you understand more about it, or why it's important that I believe this is so important. Does that make sense? Okay. What else did you notice in the shift tactic 4?
I kind of felt like when I think it's around page 66, like it's kind of directed at newer agents too, because he starts talking about how you feel like you need to study to know everything, but there's no such thing. It's like knowing everything. You just kind of have to go out and do it. Like there's only, you know, just study a lot, the amount of time you're going to study, and then just take action.
Yep. Right. There's an interview somewhere on Facebook or YouTube I saw from Gary a long time ago, that he was asked at the beginning of his career why he should be hired, right? And he says, the reason why is because I'm a professional. And what a professional does is they know what they know what they do not know, and they're not afraid to admit it. And if there's something you ask me that I do not know, I'm not just going to throw something out there that sounds appropriate. I'm going to admit that I do not know, and then I'm going to go find the answer, and then I'm going to deliver the answer to you. Right? And if you were to say that with plenty of confidence, that obviously is impressive. But if you don't treat that response appropriately, they're going to be off to another agent, most likely. I like on page 66, it says, quick leads first, more leads second, and lots of leads third. Right?
Yes.
You're using messages and making offers, trying to discover if they want or need to buy or sell in this market, and trying to discover if they know of anyone who might want to buy or sell in this market. Right? Also making sure your message matches the market, right? So you want to be sensitive to what's going on with coronavirus right now. That's why you see a lot of this, you know, we can make the home selling experience virtual. We can make the home buying experience virtual. And here's the way we do it, right? We have these cute icons. We got this nice little marketing piece. It says, you know, hey, we put gloves on when we show the home. Hey, bless you. We have a sanitizing station when you walk in. We have the little booties. We make sure everyone's wearing gloves. You know, I'll go in early and open up all the doors and cabinets and stuff so the agents or the buyers and agents don't have to do that stuff, right? We'll clean it up once everyone's gone. You know, we'll do a virtual tour to avoid people coming in, not just like a, you know, essentially just like a, you know, 2-minute picture. It's like you normally have with a virtual tour with some cute music. It's I'm walking in and out of every single room and showing you the nooks and crannies so that you don't have to come in unless you're dead serious about buying this house. Make sense? It's like Gene said the other day, if you're representing a seller and you let a buyer into a seller, particularly one that's occupied, You let a buyer into that house right now, and then they look around for 20 minutes and they walk out and they're like, the rooms are too small. I don't like the fact that the kitchen isn't open, or I really needed a home with a basement and this home doesn't have a basement. It's like, what the hell? You just exposed your people to Lord knows what, and this person had no interest in the home to begin with, right? That could have been avoided by asking that buyer some more questions, or the buyer's agent some more questions, or sending that video ahead of time and saying, hey, the seller has requested that you watch this video first, right? Okay. I like Linda McKissick's quote on page 67 that says, my real estate business took off when I realized I had to ask for business and not be attached to the answer. I would have to get no's on my ways to yeses. I just had to ask. The more I asked, the more I got. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Give me one or two more thoughts, and then we will resume our talking a little bit later today. Just to remind you the schedule. So we have, hang on. All right, we have a growth mastermind today at 12. Anybody is free to attend, but growth is really geared towards people that are, let's say, like 11 units or more. Today, that's from 12 to 1. And then we have Andy's thing at 2. And then we have PC Coffee at 3. And I've got a couple of one-on-ones today. So if you have not registered for the one-on-ones, please do so. I sent out another link on Sunday to do that. If you have not reported your numbers, please do so. That's from this past Tuesday to yesterday, or I'm sorry, to Sunday. And the coffees, by the way, are just kind of like, I was saying earlier to you guys, like most of these sessions are me kind of leading the kind of the rhythm and the content of the class. And you guys do more listening, which I'm not particularly crazy about. I want to do a little bit more interaction, but this is, my hope is this is the exact opposite, which is the coffee is kind of like, it's kind of like back in college when we had when the professors had office hours, right? And you just knew the professor was there for any needs that you happen to have. So I'll have the meeting room open and I'll be available to help in any way possible during the coffee time. But come in with, things you want to celebrate, things you want to complain about, things you need help with, whatever. Okay. All right, let's get another thought or two about shift and we will call it a morning.
Oh,
He talks about the consistency. You have to be consistent with your lead gen.
What does that mean to you?
You have to plan it out every day and make sure you follow up and do it.
Right. In other words, it becomes a standard of your business.
Yes.
Right. If you were the CEO of your, well, you are, but work with me for a second. I'll use you, Kathy. If you were the CEO of the Kathy Ray real estate business and you came in to check out how the organization was being run each day, would you keep your job as the lead agent?
yes.
Good. There's probably people that would probably not keep their job because they're easily distracted, because they're not focused, because they don't know what they're supposed to do each day, because they're afraid to do it, blah, 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 blah.
Well,
So,
those first two things are me, but I do make calls.
right.
I mean, I'm out there generating leads.
So the question is what are the standards of your business, right? That's the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur is you get to set the standards of your business, right? And the more impressive your standards are, is going to require a good bit more organization and structure and systems and work. However, once you communicate those standards to the public, they're going to be very attractive and you're going to have lots of opportunity. Okay, any closing remarks?
My closing remark is that I am completely caught up in the business right now and not lead generating. I am so overwhelmed with like my clients that I have not, it's on my schedule to touch my database and reach out. And besides a few little emails here and there, I'm just not. So I really need to carve out that time.
So I want to
just do that, because
I'm going to give you a little drawing for everybody. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. That is the income of an agent that does not lead generate.
I know.
If they're lucky.
I know.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. The income of an agent that does not lead generate consistently. Because what will end up happening is you might be like here today, or like here as you're like servicing all these deals that are about to close and you're going to make a bunch of money. And then you're going to look at your pipeline and it's going to be empty. So you're going to be back down here with no income. And then you're going to say, oh shit, I better lead generate. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be right back here. And then you're going to be right back here and right back here. Right. So the way to fix that, the way to have income that looks more like this is to consistently lead generate, even if it's like half an hour a day.
Yeah.
Just about everything in real estate can wait half an hour. Okay, just about everything. Okay, so generate leads, because there's nothing more important than that. Okay, I want to leave you with one quote. So on page 54, Gary Keller quotes Ayn Rand. Actually, he says, "We can evade reality, but we cannot evade the consequences of evading reality."
Right.
You guys see that?
Now, where is it?
That's on page 54 under step 1, stop doing what doesn't work. You can evade reality, we can evade reality, but we cannot evade the consequences of evading reality.
I have that highlighted.
Yeah. Isn't that good?
I had the next sentence highlighted, ironically.
What's that?
I said I had the next sentence highlighted, ironically.
What's the next sentence?
The consequences of evading the reality of your lead generation situation could be dire. And here I am.
Isn't that a fitting way to close the meeting? Spoken from the woman herself.
Yes.
All right, guys. I'll see you a little bit later. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.